How many of you have read that Sam Houston ordered the Alamo blown up, the garrison, and if those people had just followed orders, they could have saved their lives? Have you? Okay, most of us. Well, that was something that was started by Houston biographers. Well, it was. And the problem with biographers is they only read the letters that Sam Houston wrote. And on January 17th, 1836, he writes a letter to Governor Henry Smith, the head of the provisional government. He writes a letter from Goliad. And he says, look, I've sent Bowie over to the Alamo to abandon the place and pull out. And if you think well of it, we will do this. And the sooner this can be authorized, the better it will be. Well, clearly, Houston wants to abandon the Alamo, but just as clearly, he's asking permission from the civilian authority to do this. Well, Bowie arrives in the Alamo 2 days later. He meets J.C. Neal. He says, hey, I love what you've done to the place. He says, I think we could actually hold this. And so Bowie, on his own, and Neal write a letter to Governor Smith saying, well, we'd rather die in these ditches than give it up. Well, that comports to what Governor Smith was thinking himself. He says, look, we spent blood and treasure to get this place, and now we're just going to walk away from it? That doesn't seem like a good idea. And two, it blocks Camino Real. I mean, there are two main arteries coming up from the interior of Mexico, and San Antonio blocks one, and Goliad blocks the other. And you got forts at both places. So these are skeleton picket guards watching the frontier. And the plan is, let's halt the Mexicans on the frontier, not let them penetrate through to the settlements. So Governor Smith thinks about Houston's request, and the answer is no, Sam. We understand your reasons, but no, we've got to. Well, about this same time, Governor Smith fires the council. The council impeaches Governor Smith. And for a period of time, Texas is blessed with two competing governments. And Governor Smith and the council can't agree about much. But the one thing they can agree on is we have got to hold San Antonio. Now, I'm going to read you something, and the reason I'm going to read it to you because it's a quotation and I want to get it right. On January 21st, responding to Houston's advice to Governor Smith, and January 17th, this dispatch, where he's asking permission, members of the council directed that, and this is where the quotation begins, an express be sent immediately to Bayer with orders from the acting governor, now this would have been James W. Robinson, commanding the orders of General Houston be remanded, and that the commandant, this would be J.C. Neal at this point, be required to put the place in the best possible state for defense. Now, listen carefully. With assurances, every possible effort is making to strengthen, supply, and provision the garrison, and in no cause to abandon or surrender the place unless the last extremity. So that's the order J.C. Neal actually received from the civilian authority. And of course, those were after Neal left, these were the orders that Travis was acting under. So, to recap, yes, Houston wanted to abandon the Alamo. He asked permission. The answer was no. And instead, the government wrote down Neal and says, no, for God's sakes, hold on to that place. So this explains a lot. Now fast forward to February 24th. and the famous letter that we all used to have to memorize, but we don't anymore. So, to Texans and all Americans, and what's he saying in that letter? He says, okay, guys, they're here. This is what we've planned to do all along. We'd holler out when they got here, and you would siphon down to these strategic choke points. Well, they're here, and we can't hold them indefinitely, but we can hold them till you get down here. But you hurry, because we're surrounded by 2,000 of these guys. So that makes Travis's letter of the 24th make a lot more sense. And indeed, every letter, and it's kind of a shame that we focus so much on the letter of the 24th, because there's valuable information in all the extant letters that Travis wrote from the Alamo. But in every single one, he's saying, okay, guys, where are you? Because the government has promised them, we're not going to hang you out to dry. So it prompts the question, why didn't the government respond? Because the government that should have and could have organized those relief or efforts had fallen apart in dissension and discord.
And one of the things that kind of picked this up is that, again, going back to nobody's coming. Well, when you begin to look at letters written not in San Antonio, but written further back, people aren't coming. But, they don't have the ability to send text to Travis, hey, we're coming. The emails, the internet was down, and just getting from,
well, it was government internet.
Getting from place to place took time. And so Battle of the Alamo is really, the siege is 2 weeks? It takes about a week for the word to get out, and then it takes about a week for the response. And what then happens is when Houston does show up at Gonzales on March 11th, he finds 350 men under James C. Neal ready to march off to the aid of the Alamo. And so if you're kind of doing the math and you're going, well, that's the 11th, Alamo fell on the 6th. Now, this is what's important. One of those canards is that Sam Houston has been graced with time purchased by the Alamo.
Thank you,
to
John.
Build his army. And no, he has been treating with the Cherokees. He's been at the convention. He hasn't been building an army. When he gets there on Gonzales, March 11th, that's his army. The relief group that has assembled for the aid of the Alamo. And that's what he then begins retreating eastward and adding to.
And those Alamo relief forces under J.C. Neal proved to be the nucleus of the San Jacinto army. But here's a delicious irony. Sam Houston tells the people at Washington on the Brazos, if any mortal power will prevail, I will save those brave men at the Alamo. He leaves